There was a strichen farmer, a great worthy, and he liked a good drum. He was coming home in night for the pub, and he had to pass the kirkyard. Some scrooners had made up beforehand that they above here, and he on fight sheets and come out and scare him and see if they could stop him and get down to Bob's coffin. So he's coming wandering up the road singing to himself, and out they dances and all round about him and danced in the road, and he blinked at him a while and he says, "Is this the resurrection, or is you lads just out for a dander?"
Oh, they looked at me.
Well, there was a wool mill up.
Oh, yeah.
Cannon mill. No, you mean about the blankets out out to dry?
Well, it was a wool mill, a wee bit out of the village. It employed a lot of people. They went up, they walked up every day, early in the morning, and they made blankets. They hung them out on fences to dry. They bought the wool, the farmer brought in his wool from the sheep to get his blankets made. And they hung them out there to dry. And they also made heavy tweed, which was made into kersey trousers for working on the land.
Did they shop in the village, mate?
They had a shop in the village where they could sell their stuff.
The name was Vars.
The name was Varsity, yes. And there was also a meal mill. The farmers brought in their oats to the miller, and he ground their meal for them because they lived on oatmeal and milk and stuff was grown in the land. And we used to go up and buy our oatmeal. The village people went up with a pillow slip and carried home their oatmeal from the meal mill.
It must have been a busy time during the markets.
It was a very busy place.
Aye.
There was a
Alfie Cooper made thrashing mills.
Oh, they made thrashing mills in Strichen.
Yes.
yes.
Aye. Far about was that, Dean?
Down to Water Street. Little mills, not the huge mills, but small farmers. Farmer bought these mills and they did his own thrashing sometimes. And then there was the new mill brewery for James Mickey. Made ale. He went round, the man went round the country selling his ale.
Oh, of course, there was a busy brewery at Strichen, wasn't there?
Well, there was, that was it.
Aye.
Up the Brewery Road.
Aye.
The road's still called the Brewery Road.
And then, of course, the big house had been off of Bonnie Nut Days too, wouldn't it?
Lovely. The avenue was our favourite walk.
Aye.
On a Sunday afternoon. And our school picnic went to Strichen House every year. And I didn't mind it being a bad day.
Aye.
We walked up the avenue for the school.
The paper in front.
With paper, leading the way.
And the Mart days must have been busy, wouldn't it? Been a lot of folk in the village.
The Mart,
during
Monday was a busy day in the Mart, a lot of folk in the village, aye.
Aye.
The cattle used to cross the market stands.
Take the cattle and the pigs up to the station, so they went to the railway station at that time.
Goods train.
In the Fian markets, would that have been even busier?
Fian market twice a year, in May and November. That was a great event. Well, we put a day off for the school. That was beside the big school, you see. We couldn't study if the market was there with too much noise, so we got a holiday.
Oh.
We could...
How was your school teacher in that days?
Well, in our day, Mr. Skinner was headmaster.
Aye.
He was a good headmaster, very strict, but a clever man.
Sport is in a library.
And you could go to that school at 5 and go right on to 18 and go to university from Strichen higher grade public school.
Aye.
But Strichen school was reduced, you see, now it's just an elementary.
Primary.
Primary, no. Well,
But in the Marthouse there, what actually been in the Marthouse for a start? Was it somebody in charge of the Mart at one time?
It was just property that belonged to the Mart.
Aye.
Oh, Farker, one engineers, he lived there.
Did he do that? Did he do the selling of the cattle one day?
Farker engineer,
Oh,
And for about working in the shops, did you, in Strichen, far about did you work? Your father was a baker, was he?
Well, father was a baker to trade. But then time company wanted to start on his own, you see, and then he'd found able to help him. And he took a shop on High Street. 66 High Street. It's still a grocer's shop now. We sold everything, grape rain, general merchant shop business. And he had a van, he went out to the country every day. And he took loaves for Simpson the baker. He had no van, but poor father took his loaves and sold us bread in the country to him. And he brought in loads of eggs and butter and stuff for the farmers, you see.
We had to pack the eggs in 30 dozen cases. Some to Glasgow and
We had to chop up the boxes. We had to work hard too.
some to Dundee. And
Well, it's a story I could tell if it time. If we came up with this, you see.
It was Strichen more self-sufficient in that days?
Yes, there's a lot of shops. Twice as many, or 3 times as many shops. A lot of little shops and the army they live in.
Of course, they'd serve not only the village, but the whole country community. I suppose it used Strichen as been a market too, you can. Aye.
And when there's a storm, the roads were blocked, big storms. The farmers came in with a bag in their back to carry their stuff to the grocers. Brought in their eggs and stuff that they had to sell and took a load of groceries and stuff and bread. Because the van couldn't get out the road, you see.
Aye.
Was as many cars in the country in these days. They depended on the village for their getting bread and food stuff.
some of the farmers come in with a sledge, mate.
Oh, aye, yeah.
With a sledge.
Have you any memories, Roseanne, in the old days, even working in shops? I mean, the price of stuff or anything at all?
Price of stuff, yes, aye.
Oh, aye.
Baltic barley was 3 pennies a pound.
Cereals on barley, peas, and semolina and rice and stuff like that was never more than 2 a pound when I was in the shop. 2 pence, 2 old pennies per pound.
We do weigh up everything.
There was nothing in packets. You didn't buy stuff in packets and put it on the shelf. No. We put it into bags and weighed it up neatly and tied it up. And
Salt was a penny a pound. Common salt.
sugar was 4 pence a pound.
Everything had to be weighed. Father got the syrup in huge barrels. It was they were put up on a stand. We had to wash the syrup jars first and fill them with syrup, cover them up with string and tie them, cover them up with paper and tie them with string. This is for to go to the van.
I think, in looking back to your earlier days in Strichen, it's the things that you'd missed most or see it has vanished most in that. You feel sad about, looking back.
Well, Strichen House being in ruins. It's a lovely place. We spent many happy hours in the vicinity of the big house.
Sunday afternoon.
No, Sunday afternoon and the pond. It was nice to look at. And it was well kept. You see, it's just a shambles that road now.
Aye.
There's rhododendrons and the grass was just lovely. And
Beautiful.
no, it was good. And up the course road, the trees were just like this. You see up the road. It's bare compared to what it was once, you see. But I think we had the best days again.
So you think the community's lost a lot now, Ken? The community's lost a lot, aye.
There's a lot of folk of cars and they go down to Frisborough and do their shopping. There's a free bus comes around the country for fine fair, isn't it?
Oh, I think folks did their shop.
Folk down to Frisborough. Shops here can get a livelihood.
Aye. So that's a change as well. And for about the train, have you got any memories with the railway and that?
Oh, the train was fine. You could do to Frisborough for afternoon. You could spend it at the beach or away. And then if you went at Aberdeen, the train, you could.
How long did you spend in the shops? How many hours did you put in a week in the shops?
It was open at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Went 8 again.
8 o'clock, and we closed at 9 o'clock on Saturdays. After that, with the hand machine to clean. Sometimes 10 o'clock they were finished. Father had to get out of the van packet for the next day before he would stop working.
He'd offer big rooms, he went to some offer outlying districts, he came in bad roads, the roads were not done in there. Some offer rough roads, and he was often late and getting home.
Do you mind your wages not earlier days now?
Wages,
We didn't get wages. We got our keep.
yeah.
And our
Well,
place.
but he plays and that, and say, and we got Aberdeen for the day off, but we didn't put a days off, we just closed.
We didn't get
We
holidays.
just closed one day a year, New Year's Day. The grocer next door was Gillen Patterson, Mr. Patterson. He came in one time and he said to her father, would you like to close on Christmas Day to be on the holiday to us? And father says, I'll need to go another holiday because I just have to make it up. I couldn't help my customers do. So we just got New Year's Day.
School days. I went to school in 1920 and left in 1930. I have happy memories of Strichen School and maybe lots of different stories that I can mine on. The headmaster, Mr. Skinner, was a bit of a character in those days. He had a law in Clamsale and he was Irish. As bairns, whenever he appeared into the playing field, everything stopped dead. The lassies laid down their skipping ropes, the loons stooped, playing football, and everybody lined up and saluted him. On a Friday, he was often away at EIS meetings or League of Nations meetings, and if he appeared in the morning with his tail hat on, there was great relief because he was going away with the 10 o'clock train or the 1 o'clock train. But if he came with the soft hat on, he wasn't going away, or he'd maybe appear at dinner time with the tail hat on. No, that day, holidays, summer holidays, 6-7 weeks, maybe 10 days at Easter and 10 days at the New Year. And then we had the 2 local holidays, only 2 Strichen holidays then, the first Monday in June and the first Monday in October. But we look forward to the Fee and Market Day. Now it was usually the 2nd or 3rd Monday of May and November. Now the market was held on the market stands. It was just like a fair. The farm servants are gathered at the Fakir Chemist Memorial Corner there, and a lot of feeing would have been done there, and then around about 10 o'clock they all moved down to the market stands where there was the fair, the swing boats, shooting galleries, cheap jacks, confectioner lads for the broch. They would have sold hot pies. They would have been got for the local baker. Right. A message boy to Joy Simpson the baker in the High Street, and that job entailed in the morning being up 7:15, collecting the rolls, delivering to the houses in the village, rolls to the hospital up the brae, and then I think it was 1926 that Strichen House Hydro Hotel started, and I had to deliver rolls there. Many a time I would have been away with my golden treasury book learning my poetry for the school all the way there and back. No bicycle, just everything had to be walked. And usually coming home for there, maybe through the woods looking for birds' nests and nesting time. Right? The 1920s again, Strichen was a very, very busy place. Then we had 3 bakers, 5 tailors. You didn't get into Hepworths or Burtons or something of that kind. The tailors made all the suits, and in a village like Strichen, 5 tailors was a lot. 3 butchers, Crichton's mills in North Street, they would employ 40-50 men. What else? We had our local bus service, Shani. He ran to Banff, Fraserburgh to Banff twice a day, collected the mails for the station and delivered them to Newport Sligo and Bath and Crewdy on the road to Banff. The station was a busy place. We would have had a train from Aberdeen maybe every 2 hours, and the return back. The goods yard was busy. You had the cattle on Mondays then. I went to Wabi train. Watson's of Middlemuir would have been our summer carting peats to the distilleries. Mills went to Wafi Crichton's at an average of 5-6 a week. Some were on wheels, some were transported in Gara's lorry, horse-drawn lorry. Gara had 2 horse, 2 men delivering for the station. We had the grain merchant, coal merchant, the station. There was 2 companies there. Aye. Oh no, Strichen was a busy place with I said butchers, grocers, there was plenty of them.
The folk for the Fee market, did they arrive by train?
Oh no, the folk for the Fee market would have been farm servants. The Gordon Highlanders band came out by train, and when I was at the baker's, I saw their dinner being heated. It just came in trays, like steak pie or something of that kind. The band would have paraded around the village and then had a performance on the market stands. And usually they managed to rope in 1 or 2 recruits. They were taken to the armoury hut and enlisted there. So, I mean, you see, you're thinking, we had Sandy Wilson. He was a horse dealer. He was a great character, Sandy. He would have had anything up to maybe 100 horses at one time, just before Achy Fair. And they would all been in fields round about Strichen. And then on the Achy Fair morning, they were all gathered together and walked to Achy Bray for sale. He was really a great character, Sandy. And then he spent a few years in Canada, and I believe he was horse dealing there, and he came back and finished his days in the village. But there was only a time that Sandy was teen alone. He didn't care how many horses he had. Folk would have got the lane away and maybe never got it back. So the story goes anyway. Right?
They were speaking about ghosts, and I told them that I saw in a day, and they got off a phone. I was going to walk up to my work at Brookside, and I had to go up through a little parky, and there was ghosts at that firm. Well, they said there was. And I was looking up through this parky, and there was something waving back and forth. like that, and now I says, here's my ghost. And I wondered if I would just stuck to my heels and ran for what I was worse. No, I'll just trifle on, let it be. I was a bad, but I plucked up courage and I get back. Travels on a bit and then I stops and nothing swallowed ya. And I says, here goes, and I travelled right up. And there was a gardener's shade at the corner, and when I was near up at it, there was 2 young horses, there's 2 claps like we call them. They were young horses. And there was one way a fight face, and the window was broken, and its head was out, and that was clawing its neck on its side. And I didn't know, again I'd run, I saw a ghost that night. That morning. There was a farmer going out to Mart with his old car, great big flashy car, get by him on the road. And he thought his car was stupid and he would jingle over and see what was the deal with it. Well, he was half a mess at every off and he landed at the place. He got over and got on to the driver of this big car. But he says, I never touched you. No, he says, I came. But you get by. Ask quick. Because I thought my car was stupid and I could do to it to see what's the deal with.